Hi, everyone. My name's Jeremy Daly. I'm the cybersecurity lead for Limify Work. And joining me today is Marumaran Ganaskaran, who's the principal security consultant and lead author of the new Practical DevSecOps Certified AI Security Professional course. Maran, thanks for having a chat with me today.
Oh, pleasure to be here, Jeremy.
So for those who don't know, Practical DevSecOps have developed this fantastic new course called the Certified AI Security Professional, or CAISP, which is a comprehensive AI security certification program that's built on real-world attack scenarios. And it includes hands-on labs, which provide practical experience mitigating things like LLM vulnerabilities, preventing AI supply chain attacks, and implementing MITRE Atlas defenses, alongside all the fantastic learning and resources that you get. And Moran, before we get into the course, I think just sort of having a think about the AI security landscape at the moment, certainly all the discussions that we're having with the organizations that we work with and provide training for, AI is a hot topic. We're seeing AI integration accelerate across every industry. From your perspective, and I guess what you're seeing, what are some of the more critical AI security threats that organizations might be actually facing right now that they don't realize or aren't thinking about?
Well, great question. It's a great question to begin with. Critical security threats, there are plenty of them. There are lists that tell you there's prompt injections. There are lists that tell you sensitive data exposure. There are lists that tell you the AI systems at the moment have excessive autonomy to perform tasks without a human in the loop. But the way I see it, the real threat is the rapid adoption of AI systems across the enterprises. That's what I perceive as the real threat, because the pan is hot right now,
Yep.
and there's lots of money to be made for everybody in the industry by rapidly adopting these technologies. Otherwise, they fear being missing the AI train. And from that perspective, people are hooking up corporate data, internal data, healthcare information, everything into those AI systems without much purview. And as security professionals, we have a hard time catching up with these rapid adoption. So from our perspective, and as with anything with offense and defense, attackers have to succeed only once, whereas we have to be pretty much ready and prevent everything that the attackers are trying against these rapid adoptionists of AI systems. So from my perspective, apart from the new lingo of threats out there with respect to AI systems, the real threat for me is the rapid adoption of AI technologies itself.
Yep. Yeah, and I think you made a really valid point then around, organizations are rolling these out. And their staff are using these as well. And in some cases, in some organizations, they might not be aware that their staff are actually using, ChatGPT, right? It's everywhere. It's on everybody's phones. And they might be uploading some of this sensitive information. And, certainly I've spoken to quite a few professionals who, sometimes feel it can be a bit overwhelming, just trying to get on top of all of this, and that there's the whole education piece as well. I think that there's a feeling out there that securing AI systems is a bit different to maybe securing your traditional IT infrastructure. Are you seeing the same feedback? Do you have the same thoughts, or do you have an opposing view to that? I'd be keen to hear your thoughts.
No, no. Well, there are some correlations between traditional security measures and the AI systems. And I want to draw a correlation between a decade back when there was rapid cloud adoption, right? We had network and IT administrators who had to upskill themselves to the new cloud stack. And there was the corporate perimeter, the physical network perimeter that was disappearing into someone else's infrastructure that we rely on. And similarly with AI systems, we have these new intelligent models, what we call, which are an abstracted um, and a condensed form of knowledge in a certain domain. that we consume from somebody. Now, there are organizations that create their own knowledge models, but more and more organizations are increasingly relying on foundational models that someone else supplies. So, from a security perspective, there are supply chain threats that we need to worry about because we're reliant on the base foundational models provided by somebody else. So, that's something that's very similar to traditional IT infrastructure as well. There are supply chain threats there. There are also supply chain threats here. There are injection threats in the traditional IT infrastructure, but there's also injection threats with AI models. But the way we inject things is by social engineering these AI systems. We don't need to know fancy SQL injection commands or operating system commands. We just have to be good scammers, natural language speakers. Good grandmas, for example, there's this famous grandma problem, good grandmas, for example. So there are certain threats that are relevant in the IT infrastructure, also within these AI systems, but there are also newer threats that are present specifically for these AI systems. The way I see it from an upskilling perspective, if you have relative knowledge of security in the traditional IT cloud DevOps space, then it might be a little bit easy for you to upskill to AI systems because you don't have to learn everything new. But if you're somebody shifting your career from software development or from networks or from DevOps to AI security, then you would have to learn the basic concepts of security and the concepts of AI security as well. You mentioned MITRE Atlas in the beginning. I want to draw a correlation there. So the MITRE Atlas framework has this attack, the adversarial techniques and tactics and common knowledge, a framework that tells you how an attacker performs reconnaissance on your systems up until the time they make an impact. So there are like 11 to 14 tactics that are common for things like Kubernetes, containers, web application security, and network. For AI systems, if I remember correctly, there are about 17 plus tactics, which means there are about 5 or 6 of them that are very new and particularly written for AI security. So there's old knowledge that we can learn from, but there's also new knowledge that needs to be picked up.
And I think that new knowledge is really important. Where obviously we're seeing it in the news every day. AI is going to be taking jobs, but at the same time, it's also going to be creating a lot of new jobs.
Absolutely.
There's definitely a skills gap when it comes to AI in the industry at the moment. I know, talking to some of the recruitment partners out here, they're starting to see that requirement for professionals with skills in various areas of AI. So there is that demand there for security professionals to upskill, and to evolve. And I think there's also, that there might be some more traditionalists who maybe are a little bit hesitant about upskilling in AI, which I think in itself is a career risk of not adapting to this shift, because we are going to need someone to manage everything on the back end, to manage the AI for the business. So certainly we're seeing that shift here, in our region. And what are you seeing on from where you are?
So absolutely, one of the things about being in the technology sector is it's difficult to stay caught up with everything that's out there. At the same time, it brings excitement to everybody in the industry. The people that we talk to, they kind of are asking us, well, how do we upskill? How do we stay in the know-how? But they also say these are exciting times, right? There's increase in demand of people. I'd like to call it, there's a surge at the moment for AI professionals or AI security professionals because of the rapid adoption of AI systems, right? And there are content and courses and curriculum out there that teach various aspects of AI. Some are focused on tactical knowledge. Some are focused on very hands-on based knowledge. Some are focused on compliance. So if you are left out from this adoption, when enterprises are adopting AI systems and you are not upskilling yourselves, you might be out of date. You might be out of date yourselves. So, from my perspective, it becomes a necessity that people upskill on AI technologies right now.
Yep.
It's not something to be desired for, it's the need of the hour.
Yep. 100%. I mean, if we think back, as professionals, we're always learning. There's new technologies that come out, there's new skills. And I think we need to adopt that same thought process here. This is
Absolutely.
a brand new, it's a new technology, with how it's been perceived. AI has certainly been around for a while, but it's going to continue to evolve, and we're seeing it move at a faster pace.
Yeah. So this is the boom. We're in the AI
Yeah.
boom, as they call it, right now,
Yep.
right here.
Yeah. And it is a fantastic product. There's some fantastic AI products out there that businesses are adopting, whether it's Microsoft Copilot. We're seeing lots of people using ChatGPT on their phones. We're seeing it, we're actually seeing it referred to in TV shows now as well. So yeah, you're right. It is an exciting time. So I guess let's get to the part that people will probably want to hear about, and why we're here
Okay.
today is to do a bit of a deep dive on the course. Now, as I mentioned earlier to those who are watching or listening in, Moran is the principal author for this course, and I've been lucky. I was given a preview of this earlier on in the year when it was first announced, and we've had a number of our clients who have already started going through the training program. It's a comprehensive course, but you know, I'll let you tell everybody who's listening to this today, what are the specific skills that anybody who does this course will be able to walk away with after completing it?
Okay. So I can gather a few thoughts and provide an answer in a structured way. Number one, you will learn how to assess an AI system or AI threats. Number one. Not only you'll be able to assess, number two, you'll be able to defend against those systems as well, right? And some of the threats are very specific to AI systems, and the AI systems and developers and DevOps professionals are working together increasingly closely, right? So, how do you integrate your AI security tools with DevOps, and how you, as a DevOps person, can work with these AI tools? That's another takeaway, point number three. Point number four, threat modeling is an important concept, right? When you peel your systems apart architecturally, draw things on a whiteboard, you'll get to know a picture of what you need to protect, where your threats could come from, the interconnections, the data that gets exchanged between these systems, what data that the AI system got trained on, what data that the AI system currently have access to provide real-time updated and grounded information. So threat modeling AI systems is another great key takeaway of our course. And number five, with respect to supply chain threats, right? When you have models, foundational models that you consume for image recognition purpose, and you use that model to train based on your own images, what are the different supply chain attacks that you'll have to deal with? Traditionally, these supply chain attacks have been with operating system level libraries, your programming frameworks and packages. And now you got one more thing in the mix. That is the foundational AI models themselves. Like who wrote it? What's the authenticity? How to sign them? How to verify them? Is there a way we can encrypt models if we are creating our own models? And then supply chain attacks is one thing. And then finally, with respect to emerging trends, there's agentic AI, which means there's no one single model that you work with, or a bunch of models. And there's a model that's specifically tuned for decision-making capabilities. So there are no if-else loops anymore, but there is a model that intelligently decides, oh, this is a PDF file, so I got to call the PDF reader first, and I got to do a sentiment analysis on what the text inside the PDF is. And if it's a positive review, if it's a positive sentiment, then I'll have to summarize it in a certain way. Oh, this is an audio file that someone sent me, then I'll have to convert this WAV format file into text first, and then I'll have to do sentiment analysis. So it recognizes all these things automatically. So agentic AI is another key takeaway that people can learn from the course and how that can be abused as well. And while we're at it, the concept of model context protocol, MCP servers and other things, which is very new. It's been around only for 6 months as of today, 6 to 8 months. So we're also constantly keeping our courseware up to date. So that's also something that's going to get added to our courseware very, very soon.
Fantastic. So it sounds like it really helps professionals
Right.
sort of prepare for both that sort of, defensive and offensive scenarios.
Absolutely. 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 And our personal preference as professionals, we want to upskill ourselves. And when we take a particular course or learn something from a book, we take the best parts, but we also are critics. Not essentially we want to critique somebody's work, but it kind of doesn't suit our needs in a certain scenario. So when we author a particular course, we want it to be as real world as possible, as actionable as possible.
And so I guess if we want to do that, it comes with that hands-on component. And that's sort of what I'm curious about. And I guess to understand a bit more of what kind of practical exercises or labs are actually built into the course. And, if we can maybe have a look at, what the students actually get to work on when they're doing this certification.
Oh, absolutely. I could share my screen and show you a few things. So here is the AI Security Professional course. So this is the courseware. It's a combination of video lectures, hands-on lab exercises, and quizzes, and other handouts. And there's mandatory reading material, optional reading material. I can expand them. You'll see them go on and on and on and on. So there are seven to nine chapters at the moment, and I'll show you one correlation between what the foundational concepts someone would learn in a video lecture. So here, do you see my presentation now? Right. So this is an introduction chapter, and there are attacks and defenses that are presented in the same way. So here's a model, simple model architecture. There's an input to the AI model, and that can come from data from the internet, from books, research articles, Wikipedia, and so on. There's a tokenization process, and within that tokenization process, the sentences are broken down into tokens, which essentially is a correlation of words and numbers. And then these numbers are arranged in embedding. That is how one word is related to another word. For example, if you take the word orange orchard, similar words are arranged closer in this embedding. Like the word orange can be related to color, an orchard, orange sky, a kite that we fly, and granite can also be orange. So they're closely together related. But there are other words, maybe orange lake, that's very rare, and orange chief, that's very rare. So they're a little bit far apart. So the concept that we're trying to get through is some of these models in natural language processing are good prediction machines. They want to predict the next possible word. And this is what we teach in one of the lecture. And then after this lecture, you're going to jump into a lab activity where you're actually going to download an AI model, right? I've downloaded that. I've kept that ready because it takes a couple of minutes to download some of these models. And here's a user input. The input is how much is a gazillion, right? That's the input. And it approximately has 5 words in it, right? And then we convert those words as tokens. And then what we're going to do next is we're actually going to see how the 5 words, how much is a gazillion, gets translated into numbers. So that's what we're actually going to see. So this is our lab environment, by the way. You have instructions on the left, and you have these special GPU machines on the right. And these GPU machines are specifically used to create, train, and work with these AI systems. So you can copy the commands, you can type if that's your preference, right? So there is the lab. Okay, give me 1 minute. I pasted this a couple of more times.
Just while you're doing that, it looked like as you were going through the content that we've got, that you've got labs built in after lectures, and then they go into new lectures. So it looks like there's that hands-on component to help assist with the learning as well.
Absolutely. So a typical learner would spend about 20% of the time in video lectures and 80% of the time actually practicing the foundational concepts and the attack and defenses, right? So
Great.
the other approach that we want to take right here is we want to teach people the most practical and hands-on way. That means Python and AI technologies have a very close relation because most most AI libraries and training frameworks out there are open sourced using Python libraries. So we also use Python as a basic language, as a means to learn some of these attacks and defenses, which naturally brings the question of, okay, if I have to take this course, do I need to be a Python expert or a Python programmer? Absolutely no. I mean, you can copy things and paste things in the terminal, and there are also reasonable explanations provided here. If you don't know, we offer 24/7 chat support with instructors right here. So there's an option here, and then send us a message. We'll get a screenshot of this entire thing that we're on, and like, so I don't quite understand this. Help me. And this is going to contact our dedicated support teams, and they're going to get my message, and you're going to get responses instantly, right? It's opening up chat.practical DevSecOps right here in your browser, right? So this is one added or learning aid, if I can put it that way. The other learning aid that we have is this explain to me in detail feature. This is an AI assisted explanation that we have with our own self-hosted LLM. And it's going to tell you, here's the breakdown of the code, and tells you here's a model, and there's an input right there, and it's getting converted to tokens. It explains what max new tokens is. So this is one of the advanced exercises that we have. Before we get to this exercise, we peel off a 2 or 3 line Python program, and then we explain them step by step in these snippets, right? Okay. So back to where we are. So this is generated, and I can try and print what the tokens are. So right there, my input is how much is a gazillion, right? If I have to look at, there are a few additional steps that I have to keep going in order to get there. So this is the place where we explain there's an assistant template. So when the AI model sees that this is an assistant template, then it prompts the AI model to answer it for us, right? And so here, model output, we generate a model output right there. And let's see. Now, if I print, we will get to know the question and the answer itself. Okay, so this is interacting with the AI model. And in the next step of this exercise, we would see the details of the tokenization process. So this command takes a bit of time because it's calling the AI model right now, and it's trying to generate a response for, it's complete. So I can print the tokens already, and it would tell me what the tokens are. So how much is a gazillion? 5 words, and that got translated into how many tokens here? Approximately 11 or 12 tokens. And that is because our input had the word assistant. And then how much is a gazillion? That's like 5 tokens in there. And there is a bunch of starting string, a string to denote that this is the start of the string, like that right there, S. And there's the assistant right there. And you see, the word gazillion itself is split it in this way because you can have an animal called gazelle. You can have a concrete structure called a gazebo. And then you also have the word gazillion. And that's how internally this particular AI model's tokenizer chose to split our input and generate a response for us. Right? So this is one lab environment. And at the ultimate end of this course, there's AI agents and how you can abuse AI agents. This is one of the lengthy and extended exercises. It takes about 2 hours for somebody to finish this. And we teach some things and we also provoke thoughts in some people. It'd be very interesting to know how people go above and beyond and apply their thought to further abuse these systems than what is actually taught in the labs. So that's also the challenge approach that we take. So there's video lectures, hands-on, and then a quick reality check of quiz questions. And towards the very end of the course, there's a practice exam, and you could challenge yourselves to sit the 6-hour task-oriented exam to get yourself certified as a certified AI security professional.
It's all about preparing yourself to get there. And what I actually found really interesting, just when you were showing me the demo of the labs, is the live support chat that you've got. This is a self-paced training course, but being able to have that access to instructors from Practical DevSecOps if you are stuck, and obviously the step-by-step guide as well. I think that really differentiates this from a lot of other self-paced learning courses. And look, we're familiar with this from the DevSecOps professional and expert courses that have been quite popular in Australia over here. But to see that with the AI course as well is quite good, because it will assist those who maybe are struggling to understand a concept or get through the lab or need some genuine help. It's great. You're just not sort of left on your own to try and figure it out. So I think that's a really good feature.
So here's that screenshot that I was talking about. This is where I used my support option. We get to know the URL that you're on, what step you're on, your unique machine identifier, and the screenshot. There was no error message here, but if there was an error message, the learner does not have much need to explain. We could see this right here and try and assist. And you also have other AI assisted features right here in the chat support itself. But I like the convenience of calling our own self-hosted LLM right here in the chat, but also using this explain to me option that I showed here before.
Yeah, it's so important. It is part of the learning process. So if I'm doing this course and I'm preparing for an exam and I want to go back and replay or retry some of the labs, the student can do that. They can go back and restart and go through the labs from the start again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. As many times as they want.
Fantastic. Oh, that's great. And so you mentioned in there around we're talking about Python and someone who doesn't have Python would still be all right with this course. Are there any specific prerequisites that you recommend for someone doing this to actually have going into it? And is there, does completing the course, within it, is it for someone who might have experience in Python, are they going to get through this a bit quicker than someone else who might not have that experience? Like, is there a minimum set of prerequisites that you would recommend for someone thinking of taking this?
So from a um, prerequisites perspective, if I have to keep things simple, I'd say if you know what I is equal to I plus 1 does in programming, then you should be fairly easy for you to complete this course. Now, I is equal to I plus 1 is a common thing that every programmer is using in many programming languages, right? But having said that, we have people from compliance background taking this course. We have people from software development background taking this course, program managers, people working at pre-sales taking this course. I kind of have interesting conversations with them because I ask them, but you're in pre-sales, why do you want to take this course? They say, I don't want a course that teaches me only talk but no action. So they told me that they want a course where there's hands-on, so they can create some demonstrations, create some models. So there are some prerequisites, but it's very basic. And to address that, we do have some labs that teach you the basics, and I can actually show them to you right here. In the first chapter itself, so these are the very basics of Linux. You see Linux commands, files and directories, how to work with command output. There are also basic Python labs right there, working with indentations in Python. Like that's like a very important thing. If you indent wrong, your programs are going to be bad. It's like a very basic thing. Though we have a copy paste approach, we do want people to be well, after the course, they should be comfortable with editing some things in Python if that's what their job requires them to do. So there's working with input output. So there are some basic labs built within the course to address the prerequisite demands.
So it's almost a great way if you want to learn a little bit about Python and then, for the rest of it, AI, this is probably a good starting point.
Right.
No, that's great. And I think that's good being able to have those, those, and I've just noticed they're made, they're labeled as optional, which is good as well. So for those who might already have that experience, hey, you don't need to do it. But for those who might struggle with it, here's some labs to help you out and some learnings to help you out.
Yep.
Fantastic. So, and I think we're just looking at the screen. Yep. So there's the 8 different topics that are covered off. So yeah, all very comprehensive. I'm just looking at those video numbers. It's good to see supply chain attack. Got 20 videos and 10 labs and understanding and attacking LLMs. Yeah. So this is very comprehensive. And I think you mentioned earlier before you continue to update this. So as new things come to light,
Yep.
that can learn on, the course will be updated as well.
Yep.
Fantastic. Excellent. Thank you for sharing that demo. That's been really interesting to see. So let's get our crystal balls out now and have a think of where we are. So I think the other day someone said it was 4 months till Christmas, which was frightening. I think it was Siri actually. So another AI source, but we're getting, we're starting to head towards the end of 2025, and I think looking ahead, for the next 1 to 5 years, but especially let's say for the next 12 to 18 months to keep it short, because we know how fast this goes. What emerging AI security threats do you think organizations should be preparing for now? Is it still that, is it that, I mean, obviously there's going to be the external threat, but is it, it's also that internal threat, I think, of things not being set up or managed or deployed or used correctly as well. Where do you see that?
So one of the things you also touched upon this in the beginning, people might be using these AI systems, the chat GPTs and other models themselves. The correlation again that I want to draw is 15 years back, there was this concept of shadow IT, right? And now the same shadow has a new thing to shadow upon, and that's AI. So we have shadow AI systems these days that's being used in the corporate right now. So agentic AI threats is one emerging space in the AI security, and there's model context protocol that's very, very new, and the security of model context protocol is also very important. And model context protocol addresses the problem of, I have an AI system, I want to hook it to my other systems, so communication becomes fairly easier. How do I share data? What's the protocol that I use? And then comes the question of how do I secure them, right? So that's going to be an emerging part of AI security itself. And it kind of depends on where a particular company or an organization is in their AI adoption phase, right? Even if there's a 200 members small development shop that's not looking at adopting AI right now, their developers and engineers might already be using these AI systems right there. So it becomes a matter of securing them without much friction, without stopping their productivity, because these
Yep.
systems make us very, very productive.
Yes. But we need to stay very, very secure at the same time and manage.
Absolutely.
And I guess the other thing comes down to, managing our IP as well. If people are developing or if they're putting,
Yep.
code that's been developed out there,
Yep.
that in itself potentially can be some issues.
Yep. And,
And I,
and, and the amount of code that is being churned these days have exponentially increased as well. If a software development team on a 2-week sprint developed about, let's say, on an average, 400 to 1,000 new lines of code a couple of years back, now it's about five-fold increase. Now it's based on experience, five-fold increase, which means the amount of security audits that those code needs to go through, that's also important, right? You can have automation to address them, but you also need to have somebody like a team lead or a senior developer peer reviewing those things based on the review done on the code by the AI systems. So you got human beings working together with these co-pilot things right in the code, and that same code is being reviewed by AI assisted things, and there's a final human sign off. To a certain extent, that's like a conflict of interest,
interest.
not
Yeah.
conflict of interest, conflict of responsibilities, right? From a compliance perspective, it's the same developer writing the code and reviewing the code, but in here, the AI system writes the code and the AI system also assists in reviews. But then there are two different AI systems, by the way,
Yeah.
one to write code and one to review it for security. Specifically trained to write code, and the other system is specifically trained to catch security bugs.
Yep. And it's interesting because we're also seeing a lot of organizations are starting to potentially look at some of the standards. So ISO 42001 is certainly quite popular at the moment. There's regulations overseas. There's the EU AI Act, which, again, it doesn't affect us as much here in Australia at this stage, but no doubt it will probably set the scene for, I guess, or the standard that other countries may want to adopt as well. And I think, again, this is where, your certification course can help there as well, to help
Absolutely.
professionals just to prepare to meet some of these compliance
Yep.
requirements or,
Yep.
framework standards that they're going to be expected to
Yep.
align to,
Yep.
in the very near future. So, in terms of AI attacks, so obviously we hear about in the news, that there's the AI attacks becoming more and more prevalent. Whether it's it could be like I think there's a great example where they used deep fake technology generated by AI to trick someone into transferring money, and there's a whole lot of different attack vectors that we're seeing. Um, are we? I mean, are we heading towards a bit of an AI arms race, perhaps, in cybersecurity? Like, how do we? And I know that sounds very, it's maybe going down the whole Terminator track there, but you know, are we going to rely on AI more to defend against these AI powered attacks?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep.
That's the way it is right now, actually. So to defend against these threats coming from AI systems, you have AI systems that are specifically trained to detect these anomalies and to stop these anomalies from happening. In the beginning, I mentioned this might not be appropriate, but there's a lot of money to be made. It goes two ways. rapid adoption. New companies want to adopt these AI systems. At the same time, attackers and scammers also want to make money because there's rapid adoption, new systems out there, vulnerable systems out there, data being connected to those systems. So we are in an arms race right now, and there are many security companies are using these large language models, adversarially trained large language models, so they can detect and help you defend against these anomalies. Either they're being baked into existing SIM solutions or web application firewalls or IDS platforms, or there are newer solutions out there.
And they're going to continue to evolve, no doubt,
Absolutely.
as we look into the
Absolutely.
future.
Absolutely.
All right.
So some of the companies that we've been working with before, they've been offering observability and monitoring solutions. Now they upgraded themselves so their systems can work with the new AI trends.
Yep. It's an interesting space.
Yeah.
So I've got two questions for you in
All right.
closing, because we are running out of time.
All right.
So for any cybersecurity professionals or cybersecurity leaders, who are watching this or listening in, who need to build AI security capabilities in their teams, what's your recommended approach? Is it to train your existing staff or to hire specialists? Or is it a combination of both?
It's absolutely a combination of both. Training the staff is going to help you retain your existing staff, keep their morale high, show them new career path. So it's great for employee benefits and employee retention. At the same time, bringing in external people also would help you bring outside experience inside your organization, like third-party consultants. So definitely both these approaches. And one of the things people look for when they want to hire new talent is credentials, right? And often credentials are reviewed in the form of certifications. Some certifications are great, some certifications are good, some certifications are not bad, some are hands-on, some provide foundational knowledge called fundamentals. So depending on your necessity, whether you are creating AI models or consuming them or working with them, interacting with them, you would want to hire and you would want to upskill your staff.
Yep. And the last question, what's one piece of AI security advice that you'd give to every cybersecurity professional, regardless of their current role?
Okay. One piece of advice, cybersecurity professionals, is it, Jeremy?
Yes, and anyone in the cyber industry, they might be in an audit function, a GRC, they could be, SOC managers. What's one piece of AI advice?
Okay. If you have not looked at AI security or haven't consumed an AI program right now, go ahead and do it today. Go to huggingface.com, choose a GPT model, for example, a conversational model, and there's a button called Use this model. Click that button. There's a few lines of Python code there. Copy and paste it in your Python thing and try and consume a model locally. Or if you have Azure or GCP, go look at their solutions, click a few buttons, and there's always a button called Use this model. Go ahead and use them.
Perfect. You've heard it here, everyone. Okay, so that's what to do. Moran, thank you so much for your time. And sharing with us your insights on AI, and also actually showing us the example of the lab that's included in the certified AI security professional. For those that are interested, we'll put a link with the recording of this video to you to have a look at the course and check it out. And of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to myself. Or to the team at Lumify, and we can help you get you started on your journey with this. Moran, thank you again so much. Really appreciate your time and look forward to chatting with you again on this topic.
Oh, thanks for the great conversation, Jeremy. It's been a while, but we did great.
Perhaps we'll touch base in the next 12 months and see if our predictions were right.
I look forward to it.
No worries. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy.